Bakugo x Todoroki. It was all my dad's fault that I got detention. Now I had to spend the whole afternoon with an annoying person, all because I lost my temper. Earlier in the morning, my dad would not shut up about me placing second in our last test. The man even went as far as to suggest getting me a tutor. He could not understand why the mighty Endeavor's son was not first. I bit my tongue as I finished eating my breakfast. I was not in the mood for him. "Don't understand how you were not first," he said. "Stop making a big deal out of it, Dad," I said. I wanted to roll my eyes, but I figured that would get him even more fired up. "Are you even listening to me? How do you expect to be the best hero in the city one day if you're getting such low marks?" he asked. "You were second to All Might and you did just fine," I said. As soon as I said that, I knew that I'd said the wrong thing. "Shut up and eat more food. You're losing weight. You need to be strong like me," he growled. "Whatever," I said as I left the house. He shouted after me, but I ignored him. I was tired of all the pressure that my dad had put on me. I was going to be the #1 superhero without his help. I did not need his help, especially after all that he had done. I arrived at the academy before everyone else, and I started to study while I waited for everyone else. A few minutes later, Tenya entered the classroom. "Good morning, Todoroki. You are early today," he said to me. "Yeah, I woke up early today," I said. I'll wake up 10 minutes early next time. The class rep should always be first person at school," he said. Typical Tenya, always trying to be the best leader that he could be. A few more people came to class. As always, our teacher, Mr. Aizawa, was late. While we waited for him, everyone chatted. Midoriya, who I got along really well with, took a seat beside me. "Hey Todoroki, you want some sweets?" he said. "I would like some too," Uraraka said. Midoriya blushed as he gave a few sweets to her. "I don't like sweets, but thank you," I said. Kachan, would you like some?" Midoriya asked. I felt sorry for him. He was always trying to be nice to someone who was always mean to him. "No thanks. I don't want to gain weight and be lazy like you," Kachan smirked. Simple no would have been fine. "Why are you being so mean to Midoriya?" I asked him. "Shut up, #2, he said. "Hothead," I said. Still a little pissed off because of the conversation that I had with my father. Then, suddenly, I looked up beside me and noticed that Kachan had turned red, proving my point that he was indeed a hothead. "Say that again," he growled. "So, your ears are not working?" I asked him. Next thing I knew, he had lunged at me. He knocked me out of my chair and we landed on the floor. It only took a second to process what had just happened, and I started to fight back. Everyone tried to stop us, but we were too strong for them. I was on top of him, about to deliver a punch when I felt myself being restrained. "So, this is what you get up to when I'm not here," Aizawa-sensei said. The realization of what I had done hit me. I had a clean record, and now I was most likely going to get suspended. "You know the rules. No fighting outside of challenges. Meet with me after class," he said, and he let me go. I got off Bakugo. I went back to my seat. He grumbled about it being my fault all the way to his seat, but Sensei told him to shut up. For the rest of the class, I was stressed about what was going to happen to me. I hoped that they would not tell my father. Already, he was taking the whole thing too far with the tutor issue. It was all his fault that I had lost my temper and fought with Kachan. At least I didn't lose my quirk. Midoriya passed me a note while we were busy with lessons. "Hey, are you okay?" "You don't seem fine," the note read. "Just stuff with my dad. Don't worry too much about me. I'm fine," I sent back. "Okay, we'll talk later," he sent back. After class, I remained with Bakugo. I hoped that the punishment would be quick and swift and not something that would take me away from training. "So you two decided to fight," Sensei said. "He started it," Bakugo shouted. He could never be calm, always shouting and making noise. I found that really annoying. I don't care who started it. You both know the rules, he said. What's the punishment? I asked. I had lots of things to do and I had no time to be waiting around. 1 week detention, cleaning the training pool and your parents will be notified, he said. I nearly barfed right there. The school pool got really dirty at times and now I was stuck cleaning it for 1 week with someone that I could not stand. To say that I was upset would have been an understatement. I knew that as soon as I got home, my dad would be on my case over the fight. Starting when? I asked him. This afternoon, he said. But this afternoon Bakugo started. I don't care. You broke the rules and now you have to suffer the consequences. You're lucky that you didn't use your quirks. You would have been suspended if that happened. Now go, he said. Bakugo shot past me and he was out the door in a matter of seconds. I walked behind him and I found Midoriya waiting for me outside. Okay, let us talk about what happened, he started. After school I went to the pool. Sensei was waiting for me, but Bakugo was nowhere to be found. It would not surprise me to find out that he had ditched. He liked causing trouble but not dealing with the consequences. Get started. I have a meeting now. I'll come to check on you later. If your friend does not show up, then let me know, he said. Got it, I said. I cleaned alone for a few minutes before the hothead came to the pool, being loud as always. He complained the whole time we were there. I just ignored him and carried on with what I was doing. He tried to make it a competition by trying to clean faster than me, but I just ignored him. On our way to home, we didn't speak much. At least I'm stuck with you and not Deku who talks too much, he said. Do you always have to be so loud? I asked him. He just stared at me and didn't say anything. When I got home, I was happy to find out that Dad had gone on a business trip. He did leave me a note to tell me that we would discuss me and my bad behavior. The next day at detention, Bakugo and I did not speak at all. That was until he said, You're so quiet for someone so smart. I was taken aback. Did he just complimented me or insulted me? I think we will get done quicker if we tackle the pool together, and then the bathrooms, I said. Why not the bathrooms and then the pools, he asked. Why are you always so difficult, I asked him. I'm the best, I'm not a pushover, he said. Listening to others once in a while is not a bad thing, I said to him. Fine, have it your way, he said. On the third day, I was not very hungry, so I still had my packed lunch with me. My dad always insisted on me packing extra food because he wanted me to gain some muscles. Bakugo was a bit angrier than usual. He was working like a maniac and spilling water everywhere. Hey, what's wrong? I asked him. Nothing, he replied. If you say so, I said. Then I heard the unmistakable sound of his stomach growling. You're hungry, I said. I am a growing boy, he rolled his eyes. Here, I said, handing him my lunch. Thank you, he said. I could have sworn that I caught the ghost of a smile on his face. No problem, I smiled, as he wolfed down the food. I could not help finding it cute. After he finished, he licked his lips and I stared at them for a while. I had never noticed what nice lips he had before. It was a pity that he used them for shouting most of the time. I looked away and I felt heat creeping up my cheeks. What? He asked. Nothing, I said. For the rest of that day, he acted nicer to me. He was less unbearable. The change was quite alarming, but welcome nonetheless. We started to talk more during detention. I found that he was a pretty okay guy. But ever since I stared at his lips, I could not get them out of my mind. On the last day, we finished work early. Well, that wasn't so bad, was it? I asked him. I'd rather eat a shoe than have to do this again, he chuckled. I looked at him in surprise. He was not the type to laugh. Things between us changed after that detention. Whenever we had challenges, he would ask to be paired up with me. In the past, he had avoided me, choosing to compete with me instead. We worked well together. To my surprise, due to that, we came first in some of the challenges. One day, we had a challenge that involved swimming, so we had to go to the pool. We caught each other's eye, and I knew that we were both thinking the same thing. I realized that I had left something in the locker room. I quickly ran back in there to go and check my bag. I looked up from my bag when I got what I wanted, and I saw him coming towards me. He did not have a shirt on, and I somehow found that exciting. I took a deep breath and I put my bag back in the locker. "Forgot something too?" he asked. "Yes," I said, and my voice was a bit shaky. "Me too," he said as he came a bit closer to me. He started to breathe heavily. "You okay?" he asked as he put a hand on my heart. "Todoroki, I heard Midoriya say, but then he was silent. I looked at him and he had turned bright red. "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize," he said as he hurried back. I was confused about what he was so alarmed about until Kachan removed his hand from my heart. It had looked a bit suspicious, I guess. Later on, "Midoriya, I promise that nothing is going on between Kachan and me," I protested. "You're forgetting that we're friends and I know you. I also known Kachan for many years now. I see the way that you look at each other," he said. I rolled my eyes. "You're even acting like him. The Shoto that I know doesn't roll his eyes. You like him," he said. "What makes you think that?" he said. "You're always talking about him ever since the detention." He raised an eyebrow. That was months ago. I have not talked about him ever since then," I protested, but we both knew I was lying through my teeth. I could not help it. I found Bakugo cool now that I'd gotten to know him, and maybe I liked him a little bit. I would explain how I felt when I was around him, but I was not going to admit that to Midoriya. "Keep on denying it," he said, with a knowing smile on his face. I did not think too much about it until days later. He invited me for some drinks with him and a few friends. There were two girls there that I was sure were from Class 1B, and were Araka and Kachan. What amused me was how he had managed to get Kachan to come. He and Kachan were civil, but they were not friends at all. Kachan looked different from when he was at school. He looked a lot more relaxed, and he was talking and laughing with one of the girls they were with. I did not have to do much thinking for me to realize that it was all Midoriya's doing. Who knew what he was trying to do? "Hey guys," I said. "Todoroki, you made it! Hi," Uraraka said, giving me a hug. We went to a place that had the best lemonade and food. One of the girls that Midoriya had brought was trying to talk to me and being overly friendly, but I could not take my eyes off of Bakugo. I had always gotten whatever I wanted. It felt really strange to not have what I wanted at that moment. I decided I was going to stop thinking about him, and so I started talking to the girl. Her name was Kira. I felt Bakugo looking at me when I was laughing with her. I wondered why, since he was having so much fun with that girl he was with. I noticed a look pass between Midoriya and Uraraka. I narrowed my eyes at Midoriya, and he just shrugged. When we were done, we all decided to head to our home since it was a school night. "Todoroki, let us walk together. We're in the same direction," Kira said. "Wait for me. I'm on that side too," Bakugo said. So the three of us walked together. Kira was very friendly, but Bakugo was not very nice to her. He was not always nice to people, but he had been nice to her friend. I got really surprised with the way that he was acting. Kira arrived at her home, and Bakugo and I carried on walking. "She's a nice person, isn't she?" I said. "Yeah, she's okay. You guys would make a cute couple," he said darkly. She is cool, but I don't like her that way," I laughed. "Oh, I thought you did. Not like I care," he said. I stopped walking and carried on before he noticed that I was no longer beside him. "What now?" he asked me. "I should be asking you that," I said to him. We were walking in an alley. There was no one else, so my voice echoed a bit. "What's that supposed to mean?" he asked me. "You seem to be having a great time with Kira's friends, so why are you being like this when I speak to Kira?" I asked him. "I'm not being like anything," he rolled his eyes. "You ignored me the whole night," he continued. "No, I did not." I tried to defend myself. "That day in the locker room, why are you so nervous around me?" he asked me. "What are you talking about?" I said in a shaky voice. "You were very nervous. I felt your heart, remember?" he said as he came closer to me. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I just want to make sure," he said. Then he pulled me close to him and he kissed me lightly. When he kissed me, I knew that it was what I had wanted, what I'd been waiting for. I had been jealous all night because I wanted to be the one with him. His lips felt as good as I had imagined them. He deepened the kiss, and we kissed each other frantically. I traced his abs through his thin vest, and he growled in my ear. "Are you sure now?" I asked him. "Yeah, I'm sure now," he said as he leaned away from me. I was breathless, and I wanted more of him. "How long have you known?" I asked him. "I've always found you interesting," he said as he backed me up against the wall. This time it was even more intense than the last time. I tangled my hands in his hair and bit my lips softly. I almost forgot that we were in public, even if it was in an alley. "Todoroki, you forgot your wallet!" I heard Midoriya's voice suddenly. I pushed him off me and I looked beside me. Midori was standing there holding my wallet and looking very smug. "Here you are!" He winked as he handed it to me. Deku, listen," Bakugo started stammering for the first time ever. Midoriya just chuckled as he turned to go. "Why is he not surprised?" Bakugo asked. He made a great point. He had even looked smug, and it hit me. He had made a plan for me and Bakugo to admit our feelings. I chuckled as I saw him around the corner, whistling a tune. What would I do without my wingman? "Oh, nothing. Let us get home before it is late. My father is always on me nowadays, ever since that detention," I sighed. "Then tell him the truth," he said. "What truth?" "That you were having a kiss with a handsome devil and you lost track of time," he said. "Handsome devil?" Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.